I want to ask you guys a question, and it's not a rhetorical question because I don't think I really have the answer to it myself, which is feminism really a left-wing principle or a left-wing ideology or a left-wing idea? Let's start with what I understand about politics. I was raised in a pretty apolitical and only marginally religious home and made it to my early 20s thinking that the Republicans were the good guys, who were the people who had the best interests of the country at heart, and the reactionary bleeding heart liberals may be well-meaning in the sort of policies they make, but ultimately they're hysterical and crazy, and they're going to harm us in the long run. And it wasn't until not too long ago that I became enough politically minded, skeptical enough, to reach the conclusion that I kind of had that backwards. See, I had been taught that the Republicans were the party of small government, that they were the ones that wanted the government to stay out of your lives. And I was wrong. The more I became interested in politics, the more I learned that my interests were primarily about personal freedom, that I wanted nothing more than to vote and to advocate in the interest of the freedom of individuals to do what they want, to be able to say what they want, to have their rights intact, and that the enemy of that were the Republicans. And see, in America, the Republicans are the right wing. Also, as a person who studied history extensively, I learned that the great enemies of freedom had always been right wing, that the term fascist had become in this country a colloquialism. I'll never be able to say that right. That generally meant somebody who wanted to take your freedoms away from you and to get into your life and mess with your business. And the Nazis were literally the fascist party, and they rounded up people in death camps. And so I came to equate that together, that the enemies of freedom are fascists, and the people who are most like the fascists in America were the Republicans, and the Republicans were the right wing. The enemies of freedom, the fascists, are the right wing. And so here, being a very outspoken anti-feminist, I am very frequently called a right-wing person. I'm a right-wing MRA. I'm a right-wing fundamentalist. And, that's besides all the, I must be a misogynist and I hate women and I don't want women to have freedom because I'm anti-feminist. So now we got to look at the freedom aspect. So the people who are very consistently saying, arguing what religion I should be, the people who are telling me who I can sleep with, what I can put in my body, and who I can marry, all these things, the enemies of these things were the Republicans, the right wing, right? But then I look at, what about my freedom of speech? What about the freedom of what I can say, what I can do? What about my freedom to express myself in art and in media and in entertainment, music? Hold on. In America, the biggest political advocates who have spoken against music, spoken against what you can say on television, spoken against what words are okay to not use and not use, what constitutes racist language, all these things. The people who want to oppress what I can say and express, the freedom I care the most about, are liberals. What? The left wing? The left wing is the party of freedom, but Tipper Gore, Hillary Clinton, Joe Lieberman. The enemies of my freedom of speech are Democrats. What the fuck is going on, right? And then I had to learn, and I only learned this pretty recently, to my dismay, that there is a ridiculousness in the American political spectrum. Our ideas of right and left wing are very incomplete. See, you learn being interested in history, that you have the prime example of the right wing gone wrong, the super fascist, the horrible dictatorial bastard who rounded up 6 million Jews and gays and gypsies and ethnic minorities and political dissidents and killed them all, was Hitler, right? But you want to talk about the guy who did virtually the same thing, although primarily with dissidents instead of Jews, who rounded up millions upon millions, far exceeding Hitler's death toll in terms of people, his own countrymen that he killed, was Stalin. And Stalin was a communist, and communism is the left wing. So what the fuck? It turns out that both of these people are what's known as totalitarians. They're authoritarians. They're dictators. And they had absolute control of the people, what they could say, what they could do, and who they could be, and what religion they could have. And they destroyed those who didn't fit the mold. What we have in feminism is a supposedly left-wing principle, because I apparently was somewhat erroneous in believing that the left wing was purely the wing of freedom, is feminism, who is here to tell me what I can say, tell me what I can make in art and music and entertainment, tell me how I can make movies or how I can make film, tell me what I can say on the internet and who I can talk to. But not only that, get this. Feminists will take what I have to say about inequality, whether it's racial or gender, and say, well, you're a white man. What you have to say doesn't mean very much. But what I am saying right now could be said by, say, a black man. And they say, well, that's better. But what if what I said was said by a black woman? Well, then what she has to say is even more valid. But what if it was a black woman lesbian? Well, that matters even more. See, what you're looking at here is called the progressive stack. And I'm guessing it's a pyramid where here I am at the bottom, a white man, little more than barely human, really, just practically the Antichrist. Because keep in mind, me, who has been poor most of my life, and even a racial minority in where I've lived for years as a child, and only recently middle class, I actually am a colonialist power who've oppressed women and minorities for all of human history. I'm a slave owner and a genocidal force of evil. Me personally, Darren, I am a colonialist, imperialist pig. Me, little liberal Darren who only wants to come here and talk to you about freedom. Me, I owned slaves for 400 years. I genocided the Native Americans. Me. No. Not America hundreds of years ago. Not Britain hundreds of years ago. No, me. I did that. Are you a white man? No. You did that. And as such, you are now at the bottom of the stack. And the most oppressed, the least prestigious, the one who suffered the most, who most fits the mold of not the pig of the past, I guess, say a multiracial, say black and Native American, paraplegic, young teenage lesbian transgender woman, or I don't even know if that all makes sense. But that's apparently the Ubermensch, the Aryan at the top of the progressive stack. And that person matters more than me, and very likely matters more than you. So you got feminism pushing the progressive stack, and also doing their utmost to get in your business, particularly about what you can say. And I'm looking at here saying, I am proudly left-wing, I'm a liberal, and then I have to be told that the real champions of the left wing, the progressives, the cutting edge, the spear front of what I identify with, is these fucking totalitarian fascist assholes who discriminate people based on what they are, not on what they say. And furthermore, if what they say isn't in line with feminism, well, then they are the polar opposite. They are Satan. And so I'm sitting here thinking that to be left-wing is to be free, when in fact what I'm understanding now is that there's also not only a right and a left wing in terms of political principles, but there's also the principles of the libertarian and the authoritarian. And what Stalin and Hitler had in common was their authoritarianism, their totalitarianism, that they were dictatorships. Feminism is an authoritarian, totalitarian, dogmatic ideology that very nearly fits all the criterion to be classified as a religion. There is a right and wrong way to be a person, and it starts with the color of your skin and the genitals between your legs. I want you to know that if you're thinking like the way I used to be thinking, and I'm having to think differently now, that if you are liberal and you hold left-wing principles and think that maybe all other left-wing ideas are your ally in some way, that's not necessarily true. You may be used to thinking that the religious, the dogmatic, the authoritarian, and the ugly are all exclusively right-wing. You would be very, very wrong. You may think, as an atheist, that your primary concerns of dogmatic people having an ideology, having a religion, and it's fine for them to have that religion. In fact, I think it's fine for people to be feminists, because I believe in their freedom. And I believe everybody has a freedom to be wrong. And I have the belief that people should be able to be openly wrong, whether they're a Ku Klux Klan member or a neo-Nazi or a schizophrenic conspiracy theorist or a political layman or an academic, a member of the intelligentsia or of the common public. It doesn't matter. But when somebody is coming and telling me what to do to conform to their belief system, let me tell you that it is not just the religious fundamentalists and the creationists who are coming to tell you to conform and using the legislature of your government to do it. They are not alone. And it's not even just the right wing doing it. I'm sorry, but the feminists are coming to do the exact same thing. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter whether you conform or not. It doesn't even matter if you're calling yourself a feminist, because believe me, whichever one makes the most successful power grab, because no feminist is completely like another, except for in their authoritarian and totalitarian ways, that they have this belief that there's a right and a wrong way to behave and to be born as. You can even be the wrong kind of feminist, because let me tell you, when these kind of people get in power, you see what happens. We've already been dealing with this for decades as atheists. But I'm here to tell you that the religious aren't alone. The feminists are also coming for your rights. You may think I'm sounding hysterical and hyperbolic, but I argue that you only need to look at the facts. Look at Sweden. Look at our universities. Look at social media, not just Tumblr, but Twitter and YouTube. Look. Listen to feminists. Go and sit down and listen to Anita Sarkeesian say criticism is violence. Criticism is abuse, and abuse is violence. And remember that she's not just saying that on a Google Hangout or on a small little channel like mine. She's saying it to the United Nations. Think about it. Thanks for watching.